Hey boys and girls, today we are talking again about what do mathematicians do. Yesterday we listened to the story on the boy who loved math, and we pulled out those action words so we could start thinking about what it is mathematicians do. Today we're going to do the same thing. So I want you to be listening for those verbs, the action words that tell what mathematicians do, and I'm going to start recording some of them on our poster here so that we have those written down. After we're done with our story, I'm going to ask you to go over to Padlet and I'll show you how to use that. And you're going to post some of the words that you heard. They can be words from my poster or other words that you heard in our book. If there's something you want but it seems out of reach, here's a story for you, a great truth it will teach. When you focus your mind, you'll succeed through and through, like one bold engineer by the name Montague. I heard a verb there already that I want to record. Mathematicians focus. That means they keep their minds on what they're doing. Well, here's Montague. In a state we call Arkansas, one winter day, a baby was born, a girl they called Ray. She was bright as a star, super smart from the start. She was headstrong, this child, and not faint of heart. So she's from the same state as you. Yes, this girl had potential. Her granddad was proud. He told her, "Work hard, you'll stand out from the crowd." Then something she'd cherish. When Ray was just 7, he took her to see her first ship. It was heaven. A real submarine. Her eyes opened wide. "Who made it?" she asked as they followed the guide. "Engineers," said the man, giving Ray's head a pat. "But my dear, you don't need to know all about that." At the time, the man's insult went over her head. "No, you can't," were the words he had meant but not said. Engineering, thought Ray, and her life's dream began. Except most people laughed when she told them her plan. Mathematicians plan. They set goals and they come up with ideas. They make plans. "Stay strong," said her mom. "Use your brains. You'll be fine. There will always be people who pay you no mind, just because you're a girl and because you are black. Don't let them or the state of your school hold you back." You see, schools in those days were what's called segregated. The black and white students were kept separated. "That's wrong," you exclaim. It was dismal, no fooling. And worst of all, white kids received better schooling. But Ray studied hard. She had grit, taught herself. She was gifted in math and read books by the shelf. When the time came for college, she knew what to choose. She'd learn to build boats, but she got some bad news. "Engineering's not taught to black students," they said. Her heart hit the floor. "I'll take business instead." She'd learn what she could, and she'd learn the rest later. Their rules were unjust, but that school wouldn't break her. Mathematicians have grit. Grit is an important word for mathematicians. Grit means determination. You don't give up, you persevere, even when things aren't going your way. Ray finished with honors. Oh boy, what a smarty. She said her farewells. There was no time to party. "I'm off to a place filled with history's greats, the capital city of all 50 states. You know the capital city of the 50 states? She's heading to Washington, D.C. Now, finding a job, it turned out that took time. She looked and she looked. Ray was not one to whine. Then it must have been fate, or at least that's what it seems. She was hired to type where they built submarines. So she didn't get hired as an engineer like she wanted. She got hired to type things. The Navy, that's right. Oh, but hold all your cheers. Ship designing was only for trained engineers. So she watched as they worked and she learned every task, even studied computers by night in a class. Mathematicians study. I bet you study some too. There she is working hard. Then her big break arrived. The whole staff got the flu. Ray did all of her work and the engineers too. Her boss was in shock. How? He exploded. From memory, said Ray, and with that, got promoted. Life should have been swell, yet that wasn't the case. Her boss treated her poorly because of her race. Many people like him tried to make her feel small. Ray just held her head high, and she outworked them all. What next? From the White House there came a command. The president ordered a ship. Make it grand. And quickly, he added. Well, that didn't fly. All those plans would take engineers months to supply. Here's the thing about that. When designing a boat, there are thousands of measurements one needs to note. All those numbers take math, and that takes some time. But Ray had been working on something sublime. Sublime means fantastic, special. She took a deep breath. I can't solve this, she said. I've come up with a system to do it instead. I'll draw the plans faster, she told them. Don't fret. I'll design the first ship by computer. No sweat. How long do you think that might take? What's your guess? Would it take her a month, maybe weeks for success? Well, it took calculations and tons of caffeine. But Ray finished in hours, just over 18. So they thought this would take months, but because she figured out how to use a computer for it, it only took her 18 hours. Her program, it worked. All the blueprints were done. The ship was constructed. The engineers, stunned. You did it, they cheered, and her boss had to say that her quick mind for math had in fact saved the day. Mathematicians sometimes save the day. They can be heroes, right? The end? No, not quite. When Ray's ship was unveiled, only white men could go, and Ray's invite not mailed. Say what? You heard right. No invite. Abhorrible. In fact, some might say it was downright deplorable. Yet Ray kept her cool, gave her best every day, and in time all her skills were applauded. Hooray. People learned from her work. Who's this Ray? They demand. When they met her, they stared. They'd expected a man. Yes, that happened a lot. Many could not believe that a woman of color did all she'd achieved. Some even thought Ray was a maid. Sad but true. When they ordered a drink, she'd say, "Bring me one too." All her humor and wit served her well through the years as she battled the hard times with laughs and not tears. And that boss in the Navy who'd been so unkind made Ray the first woman to lead ship design. More honors would follow, her fame picked up steam, and finally, at last, she accomplished her dream. That title she'd worked for, an engineer, score. Now the world knows her feats, she is hidden no more. So the lesson to all is don't ever give in. Take a chance, rock the boat. If it sinks, you can swim. When a storm comes your way, hold your course and don't stress. Never quit, and like Ray, propel straight to success. It says, Dear reader, if you have a dream like I did, study hard and stay focused. Always remember that just because someone says you can't, that doesn't have to stop you. You might go in a different direction, and it might take you a little longer, but you can achieve your dreams. And that is a letter written by Ray Montague. There she is in real life. So, thinking about that and some of the verbs we found yesterday, what are some things you can do as a mathematician to be successful, even though you're just in third grade right now? Maybe you could focus, make a plan, have grit, study, maybe even save the day with your math knowledge. I hope you'll be thinking about that. I hope you heard some verbs. If not, you can always rewind the video and listen again for some of those actions. I can't wait to see what you come up with on our Padlet.